not knowing. I think it's just laziness.
Oh yeah, well, it's no comparison.
You can be like, laugh and be like, oh my God, what an idiot, or something like that. But it's actually super dangerous. Like,
because the one they're putting is no good.
Just lifts you being around all those guys because you see what everyone else is doing, and it makes you realise,
what are your thoughts on using third-party platforms?
But nah, that's probably nothing I come across really.
Things that are just, they're all the same anyway.
Oh, undersized wiring. I've been seeing that a lot. Like
For what?
Like 1.5 mil for powered circuits.
No.
Yeah. I've seen that a few times, just probably in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, like a whole bathroom had been wired. Been wired off an oven circuit in 1.5.
Just wire the whole house in 1.5, the oven, the cooktop, the lights, all on one circuit.
Yeah, I see it all the time, but I don't think that's a reflection of the license. Like that's, I think doesn't matter how hard the license is, if you're going to be dodgy like that, I don't think that's yeah.
I tend to agree. I think there is a lot of dodgy people out there, and I think it's not essentially the TAFE or the trade certifier that's potentially letting a lot of people get their license. For me, doing my capstone was hard. I found it difficult. I found the test, obviously passed, but I found it tough. You know what I mean? And I don't think that's the issue. I think a lot of people these days aren't trained on the field. Exactly what you said, Marty, on the apprenticeship, right? Andrew, do you think the same as well? Or do you think just people are just rat bags and or cowboys and just doing the wrong thing?
I think it's more cowboys. Like most of the non-compliant stuff I see is just dodgy join work in a roof, no junction boxes. I've come across a fair few sticky tape joints.
Yep, sticky tape, not.
Sometimes, yeah, just some sticky tape or some duct tape, not even electrical tape. A lot of just wiring, just strung across wherever they feel like, that sort of stuff. So I don't think it's people not knowing. I think it's just laziness or even some home handyman jobs.
I was going to say, I reckon half the time they're probably not even electricians doing the work.
You know what? I think it is electricians though as well. I think it's both. I think there is people that are unlicensed doing work, and there are handymen charging $120 an hour, and a lot of Sparkies. you guys know our thoughts on $120 an hour, but anyway, yeah. But there's handymen charging that, and there's electricians that are also doing the wrong thing, and sometimes you can laugh and can be like, oh my God, like this has got no, like I even opened up behind a switch live wires with no connectors on it, things of that nature, right? And you can be like, laugh and be like, oh my God, what an idiot, or something like that. But it's actually super dangerous. Like, I think we forget and we get desensitized to how dangerous electricity is, and the dangers of it, like sending even an apprentice or yourselves into a roof space. Do you guys think, well, I think it is a law, but it needs to be more enforced in every single company, that if you are sending yourself or someone into the roof space or the subfloor, that all circuits should be turned off. What are your thoughts? Marty, I'll start with you first.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I don't think it's a law in Victoria. I have heard Queensland, I thought it was a law, but
I think it's WA.
Yeah.
WA is a law?
Yeah.
To your knowledge, yeah. I think it should be a law everywhere. If it's not already, it may be for fair work, it might be. But if it's not, I think that's for every trade though as well, not just Sparkies, right? Because, if there's a live conductive thing in the roof space, it could be a water pipe, it could be aircon, it could be, drip trays, whatever it might be in the roof space. Let's be honest, you don't want to, if that for whatever reason becomes live and you've sent someone up there, can be pretty bad, right? So yeah, I think that, but a lot of the things that I see as well in the industry is people are unaware of earth sizes. Do you guys see that as well? Like, what size, like what's the difference between unprotected and protected consumer mains? What size should the earth bond be of a switchboard? What size should the MEN be? What is an MEN? Marty, do you have any take on that?
That I've seen, unless it's a super old house with a
naked
a water pipe bond. But nah, that's probably nothing I come across really.
No, we say that all the time. So maybe it's in Sydney. Maybe it's the capital city. Well, you're in Melbourne, Marty. So I would assume you'll be going through that. But we say all the time, like bare earths on, of course, of that time. So it's consistent with the age of the property. But we see, like, say, bare earths on water bonds, which need to be upgraded. We see if you've got unprotected consumer mains. So that I think that's a big thing that people don't understand as well. So legalities around that. So it's got to be, your consumer mains have to be double insulated to the service fuse, right? And if it's not double insulated to the service fuse, it becomes unprotected. So if it's unprotected consumer mains, the earth bond needs to be, for the board, the earth board bond has to be the same size. In the H3000, I think it reads as no less than the size of your main neutral, which is essentially the same size of your main active, right? So if you've got unprotected consumer mains, that means your board bond would be 16 mil, but the earth stake would be, as Andrew said, 6 mil. But MEN would be the same size, 16 mil if it's, So, and then if it's protected, then it's, table 5.1 in the H3000. So that's that. But enough about earthing. But, what is the, do you guys see like any other sort of mistakes or anything like that, or red flags when you go into properties on the day-to-day, or does it all seem pretty, the standards are pretty high across the board in Australia?
Depends on what sort of house. Doing service work in regional areas, you come across everything. I've still come across buildings with the old cotton covered cable.
Do you connect onto it?
I try not to. I'd be lying if I said I didn't, and I haven't, but I do try and get rid of it where I can. Did
you assume that they didn't want the rewire, or in the past maybe, but now you're more so let's...
Yeah, that was something definitely in the past that I've now learnt that we've got to talk to them about.
Yeah, nice.
But I come across all sorts of stuff in the country. It's right from cotton covered to brand new stuff.
1 mil ovens.
I haven't had 1 mil ovens. A lot of two-phase in the country.
We get that. Marty, you would get that as well, two-phase, right?
Yeah, not a lot, but yeah.
But a lot of two-phase houses because they had the old two-phase stove. A lot of star picket earths. They're fun because that's
star picket earth. What's that? Like a star picket, and they connect the earth to it.
Yep. That's the way it was done back in the day. That was
it's never worth. Using I'm always just about just pay more, and if you're charging accordingly, you don't have to worry about the gear.
There's some things that I'll cheap out on, and I've got no problems doing that because it's something that's not really a big deal. But things like circuit breakers, power point, switches, all of that, I tend to go for a decent quality one because I know it's going to last.
Yeah. So what things do you cheap out on? Is it like connectors? Is it quick connects? Is it plug bases?
Quick connects, junction boxes, screw connectors, things that are they're all the same anyway.
Marty, what are your thoughts on that?
Not quick connects and junction boxes. I don't know. I like a nice.
What do you like?
Feel.
Yeah. Okay. So you like a nice.
I still do buy Voltex junction boxes because I think they're an okay price.
Yeah, I agree. Plug bases and quick connects. Quick connects you got to watch because there are some cheaper brands that actually work really well, but the real cheap ones don't close or don't actually piece the cable enough. So yeah, that's an issue there. With plug bases, the reason why I also opt for the cheaper brands and say the top end ones is because there's no switch mech, so nothing really goes wrong with them. I've never had an issue with a cheaper plug base, but anything with a switch mechanism like a power point or a switch, even like those cheap 2-pole single throws, like oh my god, like they're expensive anyway, right? Have you guys found that? When the newer, actually, do you have them there, Andrew? And I'm not saying you live in the backward spot in Jindabyne, but like do you have that there, like the 2-pole single throw to have an inline fan to service multiple wet areas?
Not so much in the country, but I've definitely dealt with them. It's more of a unit or a townhouse type thing where you've got one fan controlling 2 or 3 bathrooms and a laundry, something like that. It's not overly common.
Absolutely. But you also service Canberra, right? So is that where you probably see more of them?
Yeah, Canberra. Yeah, saw a lot in my time in Sydney.
Yeah.
They're pretty common in new units now anyway.
Yeah.
So anyone with a newer unit, there's only one exhaust fan somewhere, and they tend not to work properly anyway. So I see a lot when I go back and people are like, oh, I want to get my exhaust fan's not working.
So what do you do? Do you go two header boxes, like 2 normal ducted exhausts, or do you go 2 inlines?
I just replace the inline fan because the one they're putting is no good.
Oh, fair. So you just put a more powerful one.
Yeah, because there's no access. But some of these units, there's just absolutely no access to get in.
Sometimes as well, they have the inline fan inside the ceiling, and you actually have to cut the ceiling space to replace the fan, which is makes no sense. And what are your thoughts? Do you guys think surge protection should be offered on every single switchboard upgrade?
I do now, yes.
And Andrew, why do you say I do now?
Look, partly being part of the group and understanding it, but it's now people have got a lot more sensitive equipment. We've come a long way from a single power point in every room just to plug a lamp or a clock radio or something like that into. And people want to protect a lot of their stuff, their expensive gear. So I think, it's certainly an option that a lot of people don't really know about.
Yeah, and Marty, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, same. Yeah, I never was really on my radar. I've sold a couple since being in the program.
How did it feel?
I was doing something in the laundry, and they had these like two schmick like fancy dryer washing machine thing, like all electric,
Melee or some shit.
Yeah, when I quoted them, I mentioned to protect sensitive equipment like your washer and dryer, and
they're like, we've just spent 20 grand on these two.
Yeah, I pulled out the airbags one actually for the first time. It didn't go for it. Yeah, I pulled out the airbags for your home comment.
These are the airbags of your home. You wouldn't buy a car without airbags. Yeah, yes, I would. Is that what he gave you back?
Oh, I didn't actually say that you wouldn't buy a car. I didn't go all the way.
Yeah, all the way. You
airbags for your home, and he agreed.
Yeah.
He had like a bunch of computers.
That's cool. So that's good. I think surge protection is. I think a lot of people. I find it as a disservice if they're not offering surge protection with every single switchboard. And at the end of the day, there's no pressure tactics, and it's up to the customer to make the executive for themselves if they want surge or not. And as always, like, hey, Mrs. Jones, well, if there is a price objection, it's like, well, you can downsell after and take the surge protection off. It's like, hey, Mrs. Jones, well, this is an optional extra. So look, as we discussed, we can do this, add this at a later date, so we can get started on the rest of the works now. And then they're like, yes. So sweet as. But and Andrew, you've been in the industry for 20 years, over 20 years, is that right?
Yeah, I started my apprenticeship 1999.
1999, nice. And Marty, how about you?
2009.
2009. Okay. So we've got some XP here, right? So I would have started my apprenticeship in what is late 2013, probably 2014 would be a better sort of thing when I started my apprenticeship. Now, what have you guys seen? So since you guys started to now, are you guys seeing a big shift in the industry with EV chargers, the phasing out of gas, solar, batteries? Like from when you first started, Marty, what have you seen like sort of change and the trends going?
Yeah, definitely the chargers, EV chargers, and induction cooktops, and all electric, all that stuff. Few batteries. I don't see a ton of it, and I haven't done any.
I don't do battery or solar here either. Yeah.
But it's definitely people with their push to get rid of gas.
There's a big push anyway, but that's, if you're for it or against that push, we won't. That's a different story. But it's in favor of the electricians, right? So there is a lot of work coming up for all electricians. That's the way I see it, because and actually, Andrew, you sort of mentioned it before as well, right? You mentioned that, in this day and age, there's more than one outlet. There's other appliances getting plugged in. There's a lot more work. So there's a lot more sense to include surge protection and things like that. So what else have you seen in the industry? Like, what sort of trends do you see from when you started to what there is now? There's
just a lot more power use. When I started, I was still under the old pre-2000 regulations, which was 10 outlets per circuit. So that was the same right up until 2000, like all 1950s houses right up, because no one used power. You had one power point because you just needed to plug in a lamp or something like that. So I've seen the advent of things starting to ramp up, going from your 15 amp window air conditioners to big 3-phase ducted aircon systems for homes. Induction cooktops, going away from your standalone stoves to a cooktop and an oven. People getting 2 ovens to cook with.
That's popular, right? That's popular now.
Pretty popular.
And they probably won't use them. They'll probably just use Uber Eats.
But then I've also seen the advent of a hell of a lot of power saving measures too, starting with the old compact fluorescents, then moving into your halogen downlights to now LED stuff. All of your ceiling fans have changed from pretty crappy AC ones to really quiet, efficient DC ones, remote controls. So there's been a huge shift.
Absolutely. There's been a lot of it, and it's just getting better and better. And with all that extra load now as well on the consumption, we've got to upgrade the consumer mains, potentially the service mains, potentially do a 3-phase upgrade. And that's why there is so much opportunity. I think that's where a lot of electricians don't capitalize on that opportunity to also better serve their customers, because they assume that they might not want the 3-phase upgrade. But me, I like to future-proof everything. I want to make sure that everything is done the right way, not the easy way. So I think there's a big opportunity there, right? So now that's pretty cool. And moving on into the business side now. So Andrew, what are your thoughts on using third-party platforms like if you're in the US, that's your Yelp, your Angie's Lists, your Home Advisor, things like that. For the Aussies, that's your High Pages, OneFlare, Airtasker. You're smiling.
I love that because I know how much you hate it. Look, I'm not against the third-party platforms.
Yep.
I think they certainly play a role in obtaining work. Certainly, my experience with High Pages has been pretty poor.
Mm-hmm.
Probably 5 or 6 years ago, I got on there and found absolutely nothing pretty much out of it, where then I hear other guys going, mate, I'm absolutely killing it. So, look, I guess maybe I just picked up the wrong clients. I don't know.
But do you think you let's call it selling, serving. Could you serve your clients as well as you can now from, like, say, 10 years ago?
I can serve my clients much better now.
Much better now. Yeah.
But my experience back then was I would ring that client straight away and they wouldn't answer the phone, or they'd be like, oh no, I've already got someone to do the work. And I sit there going, but you've posted this 5 minutes ago. How can you already have somebody? Like, I'm the first person ringing you. But look, I think third-party platforms, look, Airtasker, yes, I freely admit that I use it and I have had some really great wins from it.
Yeah.
But I have also seen Airtasker basically having the industry ripped apart because guys are working for nothing. They do take a huge commission.
Yep.
There's a guy the other day that's doing a 3-hour, it's probably going to be a 3-hour job on there, and he charged them, he'll probably make $120 in his pocket.
This is the issue. This is the issue in the industry. And I think it's not the third-party platforms that are rubbish. It's the electricians that are...
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's the guys undercutting themselves. And what I find for some, probably not so much High Pages, but things like Airtasker, there are guys on there they're doing it as a cashy on the side.
Yeah.
So they're out there making $30 an hour, maybe they're making $50 an hour. If they can go to someone's house and change a PowerPoint and earn $100 for 30 minutes work, they're laughing because they're like, hey, I've earned more than my regular job. But I look at it, especially now knowing my numbers a lot better and knowing what it actually costs to run my business. I'm like, I can't go there for that cheap.
Yep.
Like, my van cost me $30,000 a year to run, say. I'm wondering if these guys are using their boss's van to go to this job, and
definitely are.
They're burning his fuel and his time and his tires and all of that. So they're driving across town to earn $100. It's like, yeah, I know. Look, I wish I could get their contact number because I want to ring them up and go, guys, you're killing yourself. You could literally be you're not doing anyone any favors by working for free.
Drop mic. That's awesome. Love it. Mardi, do you have any, and I really appreciate that. And I think Mardi, I'm going to put it to you in a second, because I think you might have a different view on third-party platforms. But with that Airtasker one, and what Andrew was saying as well was, there are people like in our Facebook community here at Figure Sparky that are posting wins on massive wins. Like, even Jason that couldn't make it today, he's had 15K weeks straight from just High Pages, right? Not everyone, of course, there's going to be a bit of riffraff jobs there, of course. And as a general pool of customer, it's not going to be awesome. We get that, yes. But when you know how to serve, you know how to sell, it becomes a hell of a lot funner and you can convert a lot more. Now, the reason why I'm not a fan, even Andrew does very well off Airtasker, but the reason why I'm not a fan of Airtasker is because it doesn't go against our ethos of our selling process, right? Our sales process. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, you got to put in the price before you can really make contact with them. Is that correct?
Yeah, so they post a job, and then you have to quote the job as per what they've written. So that can get quite difficult when someone, and people just don't know, they just put a job up and say, install new PowerPoints. And you're like, well...
And then someone put $50 and it's just...
And they'll just put $50. And people think Airtasker is cheap, so they jump on there and they've already got quotes and they're comparing quotes. Or I've had people go, no, I'm not. I'm only willing to pay this much. Like I'm only willing to pay $30 or something. Or some guy wanted some downlight change. Like, I'm willing to pay. What was it? Downlight something. He's like, I only want to pay like $80. So mate, I can't do it for $80. It's not. Yeah. So,
yeah.
Understanding the way the world works on there.
Yep.
You can have some wins. I did a job yesterday for a client that I got an initial job off Airtasker for her son at a relative's place they were fixing up, I think, to sell. That's turned into fixing some IXLs, range hood in her house. I did 2 oyster lights yesterday. So they're not huge jobs, but they're ongoing. Even yesterday I did 2 oyster lights and she's like, oh, I really like them. How much to do the rest of the house? Bang.
Just like that.
It's just chipping away. Yeah.
Fantastic.
I think some of these third-party platforms, as much as they cost and as hard as they can be, and sometimes you do have to work for a little bit less, I think they can be great relationship builders. You can open the door to somebody and then, yeah, okay, you've gone in there and done a job for a couple of $100 and maybe didn't really make any money, but there's potential there to open the door to then sell them something else. Or, hey, while I'm here, do you want this? Or what about these broken light switches? Or, hey, your switchboard's really out of date, or your smoke alarms are falling off the roof.
Maximize the job value.
Yeah.
And it's better for them as well. It's a win-win, I think. And I think we're going to touch on a little bit of sales as well with that, because I think a lot of people are uncomfortable with it, with the word particularly, but it's got to be a win-win, and it's always got to be ethical, moral, and it's got to benefit the customer. If it's not going to benefit the customer, then don't offer it. That's the simple thing that we're very big on here. And Marty, I'm going to throw it to you. I'm going to mix it up a little bit. Hourly rate versus flat rate.
Oh, yeah, well, it's no comparison. It just makes no sense to do hourly rate. And I just put it down to, because I had someone, a friend of mine actually asked me, who I do a bit of work with. Oh, no, she's like a family friend. She's like, oh, do you charge hourly rate? And I said, no, we do fixed price. She's like, oh, I've never heard of that. Why do you do that? And I was, what did she say? She said, I've never known a tradesman to do that. I said, well, that's how the best do it.
It's got to be flat rate. But a lot of people listening in might be like, well, what if it's a fault find? Like, guys, what do we do if it's a fault find? Do we still do hourly rate?
No.
Good. Okay. So good. We've got a. Do you guys do the model of you charge a minor diagnostic or a major diagnostic?
I've started to do
that. Yeah.
Sorry, those both at the same time. So Andrew, you said you started to do that now instead of doing hourly rate.
I'm starting to do that, and because look, I've come to realize that you just don't always know what's going wrong.
It's generally always solved with a minor diagnosis.
Yep, absolutely. And minor is like within 2 hours or thereof, right? So like, let's be honest, when you scope out the area, you find like, you say that's the issues in the kitchen, that's going to be 2 hours or thereof, right? So, and this is where a lot of people shoot themselves in the foot, even with real estate agents. Like they'll charge a minimum service for a diagnostic. And I'm like, oh my God, like diagnostic is a same day service, emergency call out. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like a lot of the, and you guys said it before real well. It's like a lot of the electricians, like the third party platforms aren't bad. It's unfortunately the competition is quite weak weak. I'll say weak, but also unaware of their true cost of operation, right? So that's where it sort of does. And that's obviously what we help them with Figure Sparky here. But you guys have been with us for, I think, How long, Marty? Marty, how long have you been with us?
9 months, December. 9 months.
9 months, yeah, 9 months, right? Wow. And how about you, Andrew? It was start of the year, right? For those that listen, because we get a lot of people that are potentially on the fence, skeptical, curious as well. Like, I'll start with you, Marty. What would you say to those people?
Oh, you just need to educate yourself, really. I think that's my biggest thing. Like, if there was one thing, educating and surrounding yourself. Like, I think I get so much out of the Zooms. Like, you know, like I'm a big thing of, you know, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, and that, you know, and that kind of thing. So, like, it just lifts you being around all those guys, because you see what everyone else is doing, and it makes you realise, I'm not charging enough, or I'm not doing this, or I'm not doing that. So I think it's like I'm a massive thing on education. Like, you just need to invest in yourself, spend money, and I look at it as I need to spend a certain amount of money every year on education.
I love that.
Because it's investment. So it's, you know, and but you know, every time I've done some kind of it pays itself off in, you know, a couple of months, really. Like, it's. Yeah, the
ROI is there. I love that you said that, because I remember I got a message from you not that long ago, and it was like, and you were talking about the Zooms and what people are doing and how they're doing and all that, and it was like, I remember at the start when we did the charge out calculators and stuff like that, you're like, oh, really? Is it? Because I think a previous program of yours was on the 110 an hour sort of model, and then you come to us and we're just like, no, flat rate and charge the 2.5K per day per truck. And you sent me a message on that, and it's like, now I feel like I'm undercutting at 200 an hour. Is that how it feels now?
Yeah, your mindset change, and that's just from being around everyone.
Yeah,
you just get used to that. Like that, you know, 120 is just. I mean, I actually did a little bit of my costs and realised it was probably 120 just to run the business.
Yeah, with no real extra oomph to grow it and real profit and to expand, and then to. You know, this is what I say to everyone. It's like, everything you want in life comes from your customers. You know what I mean? So we got to pass that. So if you want another truck, if you want more stuff, if you want an admin role, well, your customers are the ones that pay for all of that in your electrical business, right? So I'm massive on that. And what about you, Andrew? Like, actually, let's change the question a little bit. What were your concerns? We're like, who is this dude?
Not so much who is this dude. I like a lot of people, I got spammed by all your ads on Instagram and stuff, and I kept seeing your face.
It's a good face.
I was curious. Look, I was curious about it. My concerns was the cost, and whether or not, I'm happy to invest in myself, and as I grow and get older and learn about business and all of this, because I'm still learning. I know that you have to sometimes spend money to make money, and sometimes you actually just have to invest in certain things, that whether it's education or advertising or all of these things, it's part of just doing it. Like Marty, I'm very invested in the Zoom meetings every week. I tend to look forward to them on that open Q&A with the guys. Sometimes I'll be there and I'm like, I don't really need to know anything this week. I'm pretty good. And I just sit in and listen. And some people ask questions. I'm like, yeah, I'm having that same problem. Or that, I've had that issue. Or, that's something I've actually been thinking about.
Absolutely.
And sometimes they ask the question and I don't have to, because I'm like, or sometimes I'll be like, this is what I want to ask. And someone jumps the gun and beats me to it. I'm like, sweet. So,
absolutely,
there's benefit to, and there's guys in there, and
it's a safe space. Would you agree, Marty? It's a safe space. Those open Q&A calls, like, you know, you've got guys in there that are doing 3-4 mil. You've got guys that are at startup. You've got everyone is in those open Q&As, and then of course we do the monthly breakouts where it's tiered revenue groups. But like, Marty, what are your thoughts on the Zooms and the Q&A calls?
Yeah, awesome. That's what I was. That's what I'm saying. I feel like that you get the most out of it. And with others, like they say, you never want to be the smartest person in the room. So, like, if you're always with these people who are doing better than you, it definitely lifts you.
None of us is smarter than all of us. That's what I love to say. You know what I mean?
I think it's good to know that, like, some of these guys that are doing these big business and they're running 10 trucks or whatever it is, they've still got the same problems that I have. or they can still relate because they're like, I was there once and I started the same as you, and this is what I've done and this is how I built it up. So it's a great platform to be able to learn from these guys that have actually had the experience before you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it also helps as well. They're all Sparkies as well, because that's what we've had like from a lot of the groups out there that are like all trades. And of course you can learn from everyone. The feedback we've gotten is like, they'll put like a window glazer on, a session on their success. And it's just like, I can't relate to that. You know what I mean? Because it's like a completely different industry, or landscaping or something like that. Whereas with ours, it's all, electricians focused, right? So I think that makes it really, really exciting. But did you guys have any sort of like, if you had a message, Mardi, I'll start with you, mate. If you had a message for all Sparkies out there that you could just say like, to benefit the industry as a whole or anything like that, what would you say if you had a microphone to all Sparkies?
Well, what I said before is educate yourself and invest in yourself constantly, because, the only way you're going to get better, and it benefits everyone. It lifts the whole industry.
Absolutely.
But, you need to just educate, because it's amazing how many people don't know the right way to run a business.
Absolutely.
I think that's what's too hard, not the electrical licenses. For us, our REC, you guys don't even do one, I don't think, by the sound of it, but ours is just tick a box, do this basic business plan, which nowadays you'll just do on ChatGPT, and they give you your card.
Well, actually, I'll actually just, before we wrap up, I'll say one more thing there as well. On the REC and on the TAFE and all of that, do you think there should be a business component in the TAFE? When you
Absolutely.
get before you get. So yes. Andrew says absolutely. Marty, what do you say?
My initial thoughts, maybe not, because there's a lot of people who have zero interest in running a business. And
I agree. Interesting. I love this. So Marty says no. I'll say I've got a strong thing on this. Andrew says yes. Before I answer, Andrew, why do you say yes?
Look, I get the point that there are guys out there that are just never going to be interested in doing it. Maybe there needs to be an option. But I think, but also having, and like you've said, all of your guys know your numbers and know how your guys aren't interested in running their own business, but they still have to understand how the business runs.
Yeah.
Because sure, there are guys out there that are going to just be in construction for their whole life, and they're going to just be running cables and cable tray and all of that, and that's all they'll do. But for a lot of us, even if you don't want to run the business, understanding how your business runs is important. So if your guys can actually have some sort of basic knowledge of how a business is supposed to run and all of that, I think that's going to benefit everybody.
That's a good point. I've changed my mind, actually. Andrew's convinced me. It makes sense. It's a good point, because I think it would make you a better employee if you understood what your boss has to go through, has to make a profit, the business has to profit.
I might change your mind back now, Marty.
But even if you've got guys just in construction that are just wanting to be grunts for their whole life, maybe there comes a point where they've been with that company for a long time and they get promoted. There's a position come up, or they get a tap on the shoulder going, hey, do you want to be a supervisor on the site? Do you want to be a foreman on the site or whatever, and actually step up and run these jobs? Well, you need some sort of business understanding on how to run a job. Like,
I 100% agree. Where I disagree, look, I'm all for the business, but I think what Marty said as well, not everyone is into it, but I personally think it needs to be, it's an entrepreneur's journey. It's not like a electrician's journey, if that makes sense. So I think as a business coach, I wouldn't actually encourage people. This is going to sound really weird, but as a business coach, I think there should be less electricians actually getting into business and then partnering up with a good company, because a lot of people aren't made for business. If that makes sense. Like it's a skill, but a lot of people, and the reason why I say that, because it's going to sound a bit weird if you just clip that, but the reason why I say that is because like you guys have invested in your training for your business, a lot of people don't have that mindset, that ROI mindset. Like if I spend $1,000 here and get $5,000 back, or if I spend $1,000 and get $10,000 back, a lot of people struggle with that mindset. I think if you struggle with that return on investment and invest in yourself, invest in your business, let's put it simply, if you're not into spending money to make money, then I don't think that person should be in business, right? Because business, that's the only way. The people that spend the most, and we've seen them, the people that have the most employees make the most money. They actually spend the most, right? Like, you know, they market hard, they pay their guys really, really well. And that's how it works. So to put it short, my thing on TAFE is I don't think it should be trained at TAFE. And the reason for that is, another reason is because I don't think they'll get the curriculum right, because there's business coaches that don't get the curriculum right. So if you put it to the government, what's that, Marty?
It's a fair point. They probably teach the wrong things.
That's right. They'll probably teach the $100 an hour thing.
I think adding some sort of basic business knowledge in there could be really beneficial to that young kid who's coming through, to help understand that, okay, well, now you're going to be a tradesman. Maybe you do want to run your own business. Maybe you don't. But here's an understanding of just how it works. And this is, maybe they get a better understanding why you can't afford to pay them $100 an hour.
And before we wrap up, Andrew, any closing statements, mate, for all Sparkies out there?
Yeah, know your numbers. That's like, honestly, I learn, and that's one of the biggest things I've got from the program, is understand your business running costs and where you sit, and learn the numbers that it actually cost you to run a business. And even for those guys that aren't running a business as such, they might be doing the cashies on the side or whatever, understand what it is costing you for that. Like, who's paying you for the 30-minute drive to the customer's house? Like, you might be out there making $100 cash, but who's paying for your petrol to get there? Like that.
Absolutely. We'll close off on that. Appreciate you jumping on the pod, and we'll catch you guys next time. Cheers.
Cheers, mate.
Thank you.